Hello, and welcome to the McTaggart Attack Podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart. Thank you for downloading the podcast today. Please remember to subscribe, share, and review the podcast with whoever you want. Review it wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, be it on YouTube or any other podcasting platform. I'm pretty sure I'm on them all. I know I'm on Apple, and I'm on Google Play, and iHeartRadio. But why am I telling you where the fuck my podcast is broadcasted on? Because you're fucking listening to it already. This is a major flaw on my part, telling you where to find the podcast, because you're listening to the podcast. So why am I even bothering telling you? So thank you for downloading the podcast. Please subscribe, share, and review wherever you're listening to this, because that helps the podcast out. There, I think I said it correctly. I don't know. What I want to talk about today is something that I've talked about on this podcast other times. And it's been about a year or so since I've talked about it last. So I feel like I need to talk about it again because people are fucking stupid. Or people are still stupid. Or should I say people are still racist. Which also makes them stupid. I'm not saying all stupid people are racist, but I am saying that all racist people are stupid. Anyway, the terrible incident that happened last week where George Floyd was murdered by a bad police officer and 3 other officers who held him down, kneeling on the guy's neck, kneeling on him, causing him to asphyxiate and die, kneeling on him. This is the bad kind of kneeling, which I hope the officers go to jail for a really long time. But of course, with this kneeling, people talk about Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling that he was doing in protest to how George Floyd died. He was kneeling to protest in hopes that we could avoid things like the murder of George Floyd. He was. That's why he was kneeling. He was kneeling for the Black Lives Matter. He was kneeling because of the police brutality towards African Americans. That's why he was kneeling. That's why Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. He wasn't kneeling to desecrate the flag or piss on the country. He was protesting. He was kneeling during the national anthem and was vilified for it for stupid fucking reasons. Honestly, oh my God. 4 years ago, what was it? 3 or 4 years ago, when this came up, when this happened. And I think it was 2017 when I was at work and we had this meeting and someone brought up, someone at work, we were in this big meeting, we were all standing around with our meeting and one of my idiotic coworkers brought up, they brought up Kaepernick in a non-direct way about how, have to respect the flag, blah, blah, blah. They said something like that. It said something, and it just made me so fucking mad. I don't remember what it said exactly, because it fucking triggered me, because, like, people thought that, like, Kaepernick was insulting the country, that Kaepernick was insulting the troops, that Kaepernick was insulting all this shit. That's not why he was fucking kneeling. And I wanted to yell at these two fucking idiots in the meeting, but I didn't want to get fired at the time. But I so regret not telling them that's not why he was fucking kneeling, you stupid cunts. I'm sorry for calling them cunts, but that's what they acted like. Anyway, but I didn't say that. And it's one of my regrets from working at Conifer Health Solutions that I wished that I had. And then just stormed out and never fucking returned. I should have fucking quit that way. I would have felt so much fucking better about myself if I had fucking quit that way. Oh, because those two fucking morons have their heads up their fucking ass and they want to believe whatever the fuck Trump wants to fucking tell them. And it's so fucking irritating that I hope they're listening to this fucking podcast right now, because they're both a bunch of goddamn dumb bitches because of the way that they acted and the way that they thought, and they had their heads so fucking far up their ass that it just really fucking pisses me off. And it still pisses me off. And it was 3 years ago, because there's people out there that don't seem to get why the fuck Colin was protesting. Because if more people had actually listened to Colin Kaepernick and the message as to why he was protesting, instead of what you thought why he was fucking protesting, you know what? George Floyd probably wouldn't be dead right now. And that's the fucking truth. It's the fucking truth. He wouldn't be dead right now if people took Colin Kaepernick's message seriously. But he's dead. And there have been a lot more deaths since Colin was kneeling, and he's been banned for kneeling. And then the NFL puts out their stupid statements to say, oh, we're so against this. This is such an awful instance. Yeah, you're not that against it, NFL. You know, I hope there's a lot of NFL players kneeling this year. That'll be fucking awesome. That'll be great. I need to see that. I need to see more players. I want to see more players protesting somehow, because protesting isn't violent. Protesting shouldn't be violent. But there's always bad cops and good cops. There's good protesters and bad protesters. So keep that in fucking mind. And they want us to, I'm all for having civil conversations. We need to have civil conversations about these things. And the country needs to have these type of civil conversations. But it's really hard to have civil conversations within the country. The president of the United States theoretically should be leading these conversations. But all the president of the United States is saying is telling the cops and the army to shoot these fucking protesters. Protesters who are protesting against violence from police. It's so fucking irritating. What the fuck is wrong with people? What the fuck is fucking wrong with people? Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for Black Lives Matter. Colin Kaepernick was kneeling because he was against police brutality, because we didn't want black people, police brutality against black people. And if more people had listened to him, had listened to why he was protesting instead of why you thought he was protesting, we wouldn't be having riots this week. We wouldn't be having any fucking riots this week if people just got their head out of their asses. And we would just try to solve these problems that we have, and getting rid of these bad cops that we have out there, or these bad people who think that it's okay to hate people because of the color of their skin, which is fucking disgusting. That's all I'm going to say in today's podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe, share, and review the podcast wherever you listen to it. And look in the show notes for various deals and whatnot. And that's the bottom line if you smell what the McTaggart Attack Podcast is cooking.